Hi, I'm Vivian Vanderpuss from Canada's Drag Race Season 3, and you're watching Xtra Magazine's After the Sashay.
Hi, Vivian. Congrats on making it to the top 5. Let's start out there.
Thanks so much, Russ. Yeah, it feels absolutely incredible being a top 5 contestant.
You have had such a wonderful run on the show, and I love getting to know you as a character and an artist. You got so close to the finale, you could almost taste it. How did you feel about sashaying away when you did?
Well, first of all, I have to say that getting that close tasted a lot like E6000. I was like, oh, there it is. I know exactly what that scepter is made out of. Yeah, I felt incredible. I felt like I was really able to show everything that I wanted to on the show. Like, you know, I did all of the runways, and that was like a really huge part of it for me. And I was just really proud of all the things that I did on the show, things that I knew that I could do, and then also things that I had no idea that I could do.
Now, in this week's episode, you had an extremely cerebral take on Mask for Mascara. I'm not sure it totally landed on the judges, but it definitely landed on me. You combined all of these elements of performative masculinity from all of these different eras on your body, and each of them eventually became coded as feminine. Can you talk a little bit more about your concept for that runway?
Masculinity throughout the ages and how these themes have turned feminine later in history.
Yeah, so I'm super proud of that look. And when I was in the workroom before I went onto the runway, I was like feeling my drag king fantasy, and like I love presenting as a drag king oftentimes on stage. So that was really cool. It felt like really authentic to me. I thought of this concept of, yeah, basically exactly that, performative masculinity throughout the ages, and taking like parts of fashion that, like hair and fashion, that was once seen as masculine but is now more presented as feminine, and now we're seeing kind of like a resurgence of kind of like just like non-binary clothing, and kind of just like freeing ourselves from those confines, and that's what I've found through doing drag. So that's been my experience, loving like vintage clothes, and then women's vintage clothes, and then now Vivian in my closet like kind of is blurred in a lot of spaces, and it was kind of just a celebration of that, because I love all of those kind of like, I don't know, like archetypal kind of like Shakespearean, like you got like the mutton sleeves and the pumpkin pants, and yeah, Sean Malmus was the fabulous designer, and he kind of like gave me like a little bit more of like the enriched history on like all of those, this certain aspect. I just knew what they looked like visually. But yeah, I just wanted to be like a fabulous, like campy genderqueer bard. And I feel like that was the fantasy.
It absolutely was. And I felt also that it was a little taste of the fluidity of your drag, because on the show what we saw from you was a lot of femininity, and that, you know, fits into the package of Drag Race. But if you take a scroll through your Instagram, you have got gender fuck, you've got club kid, you've got sort of these soft king looks that are more mask. Can you talk a little bit about the fluidity of your artistry in terms of gender outside of what we got to see on Canada's Drag Race?
My whole experience doing drag has definitely been a lot of that. Like, it's been like throw everything at the wall and see what sticks, and it not only in a way like in external validation and like kind of like show vibe, but also what sticks with me like internally and what makes me feel fabulous, and kind of exploring all the different like the themes and the I like to think of my drag as sometimes like Mr. Potato Head when I'm putting a face together, putting a look together, because it's like, well, I like this aspect of this, or like maybe this like really fierce like feminine eye, but then with like a mustache, and just finding what feels really good for me and in my body, and how I can express that outwardly, and just kind of like going on that gender journey. I went on the gender journey. I landed on cis male. Of all things, I know. But it's so cool to still kind of like swim in the warm waters of gender, and I feel like there are like non-binary fashions I just absolutely love, and like I love exploring that. So I feel like in fashions I feel like out of the binary, because like, what is that all about? You know, the women's section was always way more fun than the men's section, let's be honest.
I thought that it was very interesting to see masked drag on the runway. I know you work very closely with one of Canada's best drag kings, Xtra. I'm wondering what you think that having kings on a show like Canada's Drag Race might offer.
I feel like it just makes sense. And I feel like when you bring everyone to the table, it literally just enriches it. Like, it just becomes a more spectacular table. You're not taking anything away from queens by including kings, and I feel like we see that just across all platforms. Xtra is so incredibly talented. I would love to see them on the show. They can do everything. They can sing, they can act, they do aerials, they do shibari, they do like circus, they do sword stuff. They do literally everything. They're incredible. And I think that I mean, we've seen it done on other platforms. I think it's just a matter of time before Drag Race does it.
On Canada's Drag Race, Fierce talked a lot about sabotage. I want you to set the record straight. Did you sabotage Miss Fiercalicious?
I think that Miss Fiercalicious sabotaged herself by not believing in herself. I'm like, you're telling me with a face like that and with legs like that and with those huge, beautiful eyes that you couldn't do a ballad? Come on, sis. Like that, like just looking beautiful and just flowing. And I honestly, I'll tell you, like, I was not concerned about anyone else. I was like so in my own head, especially earlier in the competition, that I was like, I don't have time to be worrying about sabotaging people. I'm like, I truly am just like, and I didn't give anyone what they wanted. That's the thing. I was like, I sabotaged you, I guess, all equally. And you're welcome for that. Yeah, I was just really focused on what I wanted for me and Giselle, to be honest.
I've seen that you and Fierce were recently working together in Chicago at the legendary Roscoe's, and that you've been palling around a little bit. Tell me, where is your relationship with Fierce today as her saboteur?
I am obsessed with Fierce. I love her so much. I love her. I'm like obsessed with her drag. I think that she is a spectacular person. I think she's also a diva. But like, also that's whatever. Like, you're a drag queen. Like, you know, I think that she's a really spectacular person. I think she's got a really good heart, and she's so smart.
I thought that it was so sweet. We got to see your dad, Paul, who got choked up over your fearlessness. It seems like you come from such a supportive family. Yeah,
I'm very, very privileged to come from a family where when I came out, they were all like very supportive and have just really been involved in, I guess, my whole like drag journey. They're all in Southern Ontario, so it feels like they're worlds away sometimes, but yeah, they've been really, really supportive of the whole journey, and I'm really glad that I could actually show them my art now, because this was the first time that they've seen me perform or do drag really like in a more expanded platform than just maybe Instagram stories.
Now, before I let you go, I want to talk about two of the most important creatures in your life, Bijou and Apple. Tell me about your cats, Vivian.
Okay, Bijou is skulking around somewhere here. She's like apex predator. But Bijou is like a little 2-year-old. She's like brindle, and she's like terrified of everything. Every time the AC unit comes on, she like bolts off of everything. She's terrified. She was born on Salt Spring Island under a power line, and I'm convinced that she has electricity just like in her body. Like, that's where they found her, like in a box under those huge power lines. So I think that she just has lightning in her body, and that is why she's so wild. And then Apple is a rotund diva. She is a ginger baby, and I've had her for going on 14 years now, and she's been all across Canada with me and went through college with me, and has seen so many boys. And she's just been there. She's been my ride or die, low-key, because I feed her, and also I, you know, keep her captive in the tower that is my apartment. Thanks for watching Extras After the Sashay. Now you can find me on all social medias at Vivian Vanderpuss, and find fabulous merch at vivianvanderpuss.com.